Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another CodeRefinery workshop, September-October 2025. We have a format that is slightly different when it comes to the schedule compared to previous workshop. So if this is not the first CodeRefinery workshop that you follow, you will find some interesting changes, more exercises, basically. What I'm showing right now on the Twitch TV stream is the main workshop webpage, which is our kind of communication channel. So that here you can follow the schedule, you get all the links to the materials, and you will also get access to the questions and answer document that we will soon introduce. So right now we are at day one. I'm scrolling down to day one, and I'm gonna talk about this welcome and introduction to the workshop. So when I click the link that is there, it will actually go to the presentation material that we will use. So we will not use any PowerPoints here. They're all materials and they're all hosted in GitHub, so that if you find a typo, you will learn how to submit an amendment. All right, but we are glad that you're here. Briefly about CodeRefinery. So CodeRefinery is a Nordic project focused on teaching scientific computing tools. But CodeRefinery is especially a large community of research software engineer, researchers who need to work with computers and code and data, and in general, enthusiasts about research software and anything that is related to that. But CodeRefinery is also this workshop where we are here right now, and lots of lessons and open learning materials that some of them are covered in this workshop, but we also have other learning materials that go beyond for more advanced topic. There's many founders and organizations that are involved in CodeRefinery. The main founder is the Nordic Infrastructure Collaboration, and the partners are Aalto University, where I'm from, CSC, IT Center for Science, also in Finland. Then we have from Denmark the Center for Humanities Computing and the Danish E-Infrastructure Cooperation. Sweden is there with the Euro CC, ENCCS, and also the National Academic Infrastructure for Supercomputing. And then we have Norway with University of Oslo, where one of our first instructors is from, and the NRI Sigma 2, and University of Iceland, where our second instructor of the day is also from. So I'm already gonna say hi. You might see their faces here to Sabri and
Hi, hello, everyone. Good morning.
Ayman.
Yeah, hi. Good morning.
I will introduce you properly, don't worry. So with all your expertise and titles. But briefly to motivate you a little bit, there's this nice image by Heidi Seibold that kind of tries to give you the what are the 6 useful steps or helpful steps for making reproducible research. I'm not now going to start talking about reproducibility crisis, because I don't want to spoil the fun. That is for next week, and you will hear all about reproducibility issues in science. But in general, all the bits that you will learn throughout the workshop are related to what you see here. So getting your project folders and files in order, making sure that you can travel in time, specifically that you can travel back in time. Travel in the future, it's still not there. And in general, also make your research that is, how can I say, transparent in a way that other people can look at your code, maybe look at your data if possible, and look at your documentation so that you're able to open your software or open your data and follow the best practices. Sometimes we don't really like the term best practices. It's much more inclusive to say good enough practices, because sometimes the good enough practices is truly what really matters. So how does this workshop works? Well, the format, as you are seeing, it happens on Twitch TV. And the reason is, well, most likely you've been to some Zoom teaching with hundreds of people there. It's not very, it can be stressful to keep people microphone off and so on. Here, it's more like a TV show. We are here in a small studio, and we are broadcasting to anyone in the planet who wants to hear about reproducible research. And by doing this, also it's easier to take care of the recordings, that the recordings will be immediately available on Twitch TV, and later after we basically cut them and subtitle them, they will be also on YouTube. The attendance is kind of choose your own adventure. There are the first part, which is happened this week. It's all about version control and Git with GitHub. But then after that, we have different episodes happening multiple weeks, and come join the topics that you find more useful. Could it be reproducible research? Could it be software licenses? Could it be whatever you need? Or follow them all. We don't really track attendance, and you can watch them live or you can watch them later. Materials are always available. They're all linked in the workshop schedule, as I showed earlier. And when it comes to the actual schedule, we try to have at least a 10 minutes break every hour. And for this first part, in the first week, we will have a 1 hour break in the middle. So in when it comes to time zones, because we try to fit multiple time zones, this will be a convenient break for maybe people in UK and Iceland. And for the Oslo and Finland, it will be more like a afternoon coffee break. Then I briefly mentioned about this collaborative notes document that I was showing earlier. And the idea of the collaborative notes document is that it's somewhat like a Google Docs, so that everyone can edit at the same time. And this is much more convenient than using a chat, for example, the Zoom chat that I was mentioning earlier, because here the questions are basically forming a nice documented set of questions and answers. What is really interesting that sometimes it's not just the experts or the helpers that are going to answer. Sometimes you might know the answer. You might have experienced the same bug, the same issue with some operating system, and you can share your experience. So it's truly a collaborative document where we can all edit at the same time. To edit the document, if you open the page that you received in your email, there is a pencil in the top right corner. So if you click on the pencil, the view mode will change from view to edit. So I would briefly show it. Now I have another window here with the notes document. I scroll up, I see this pencil, I click the pencil, and now I'm in this edit mode. And I can see here there's already 93 people watching this page, maybe editing this page. And many of you have written here where you're from. Is it sunny? Is it not sunny? It's a nice data set of locations and weather. And this is how we run sometimes polls in where basically you can add in this case an O to say, if you wished to get them. And here you can already start asking questions. And you see we use with this indentation, we have nice colors and different questions. Maybe the only thing that it's important that you always write on top of the last line so that it's easier to know when is the end of the document. And if you feel that the document is getting very slow, then it's good to, you know, we have a good server that hosts this document, but sometimes if I would say if the number goes above 150 simultaneous edits, it starts to get difficult. So then it's good to click on this eye icon in the very uh, top part of the screen, and so that it goes back to this view mode. All right, back to the introduction. Try to please don't put personal data or passwords into this share note documents. At the end of the day, we will archive it so that after the whole workshop, we have a nice set of questions. Very briefly about the practical setup. So you might have noticed that this screen share streaming that we are doing right now is not the usual landscape whole screen type of setup, but we have this vertical stream. And the idea of the vertical stream share is that it really helps those who have a single monitor, for example, laptop users, because then you can keep the Twitch TV open in, let's say, like you show here on the left hand side of the screen, and then you have all the right hand side free where you can put, for example, the web browser with the lessons, with the materials, or your terminal if you are learning it with the terminal, or VS Code, or any other window that you might need. So This is very useful if you have a single screen. Of course, those who have multiple screens, they can arrange the windows as they prefer. All right, I'm soon done with all these intros. I promise you I will. This is the only day where we do this long intro. But I'm just very happy that there's so many people involved in this workshop again. We have now, here it says 370, which was the number from a few days ago, but this morning it was 426 people registered from really all over the world. And behind the scenes, there's 15 coordinators and helpers, instructor, facilitators. It's a big work, but we hope that there is value in all this energy that we put into this. Briefly on the workshop etiquette, as usual, we try to be nice to each other, and you have to understand that we are very different. Some people might be experienced coders who have coded all their life. Some people might have just started, or maybe not even will never code. They're just here to learn the tools that their coding colleagues are using. So let's just respect everybody else's pace and differences. Let's try to be helpful in the collaborative document. And if something is not right, if you feel that something is wrong, we have a code of conduct, and you can get in touch with the workshop organizer, Samantha and I, or with the general support at coderefinery.org address. Final notes. Well, most of you are registered. If you register, you will get more emails from me, reminders, and links, and anything helpful. But of course, you can also just watch the Twitch TV stream and don't worry about it. For those who need certificates, there's clear instructions there. If they're not clear, please ask in the notes document. And finally, CodeRefinery is an open project. Anyone can join us. If you follow the link here, there are multiple ways to join us, whether you like to receive emails once in a while, not too many, don't worry, or maybe you want to actively join us. For example, we host a Zulip channel where many researchers and software engineers and HPC admins, they're all there and answering each other questions, sharing interesting links, and sometimes also funny memes. But I think I've talked enough, so maybe I'm gonna ask Jarno. Hello, Jarno. We
Hello.
didn't. Jarno is here with us today, and he will be with us for many days as the broadcasting expert or broadcaster. Is that broadcaster? So,
Broadcaster is good. Expert is saying too much. First
well,
time.
as I was explaining earlier, if you look at the distribution of all the broadcasters in the world, you are falling in a quite high percentile. But I'm asking you if you can switch to the notes document so that we can have a look if there's already
That's the wrong
any.
one. This is the wrong one. So sorry. Okay. Yes, this is. Now it's good.
Yes.
Okay.
So that um, we can have a look at if there's anything relevant in the questions. And in the meantime, our first speaker or our instructor can set up their screen share.
So and Enrico, there is one question. Someone says that they are not going through the installation session because we see that some people are very new.
Yeah,
And,
that's a that's a good question. So in our installation pages, there is this minimum required installation, which is just the fact if you have a GitHub account, that's enough. You can do the exercises only using the GitHub web pages, and so you don't need to worry. I would say that the more heavier part of the installation, which is the setting up of a Conda environment, it's more needed for from next week, so for the part 2. But for today and for the next days, having a GitHub account is all you need. If you want to, of course, not just use the GitHub website to work with Git because you want to do VS Code or the terminal, then, if you didn't have time to do it today, you can do it later in the afternoon. And if you need help, we can set up some ad hoc installations sessions.